Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back. I'm Jose Cruz from the San Diego Council on Literacy, and we have been speaking with Erik Jacobson. He is an associate professor at Montclair State University in New Jersey. Erik, man, I could see just from your affiliations the passion that you have for your work. Listed here, I have New Jersey Association for Lifelong Learning. And then there's the, oh my God, changes. But tell me your other affiliations. There we go. Make the Road New Jersey Critical Teaching and Learning Forum. I changed the page. How are these all tied in together? How are they helping you with your work? And what is the theme? What is it that has you doing all the things that you're doing in your work?
So the New Jersey Association for Lifelong Learning is New Jersey's statewide adult ed advocacy organization. And we're also the main provider of professional development. New Jersey is a little bit different than many of the other states in terms of how well it supports adult education. I would have to say it doesn't support it very much, particularly in terms of professional development. So we just had our annual conference. We have an annual conference. We also host free webinars, which are geared towards folks in New Jersey, but we open them up to anybody in the country, and we usually get also people, from Nevada and Arizona, different places. And each one of those webinars, we try to focus on different topics. We've had Cynthia in the past talking about the change agent. We've had, people talking about immigration issues, but we've also had people talking about vocabulary instruction, and writing instruction, some of the nuts and bolts kinds of things. So I've been involved in the New Jersey Association for Lifelong Learning almost as long as I've been in New Jersey, and for me it was a way to kind of stay involved at the statewide level. My association with Make the Road New Jersey has been going on for a few years. Make the Road is a large organization in New York, and now there's affiliates in Pennsylvania, and Bridgeport, Connecticut, and New Jersey. And when they were I knew they were coming to New Jersey, I wanted to kind of introduce them to other people in the field. So I drove the person who was starting at a couple places and kind of coordinated some meetings. Nice. And then that led to an ongoing association with them. And so now I teach every Monday night. I teach with my students there. And Make the Road New Jersey is very involved in a lot of community-based work. So they've advocated for municipal IDs in the city of Elizabeth, which they actually successfully got. Right now they're working on a driver's license campaign to try to get New Jersey to expand access to driver's license to people regardless of status. And so my work there, I'm able to combine my ESL work with the students with their advocacy efforts. So we've made videos. I went out on May Day. I went out with my students to try to get signatures for the petition. I was 0 for 25, I have to say. My students did quite well, but I got a lot of stink eyes. Wow. But my students did much better than me. So Make the Road New Jersey is a way for me to combine my interest in ESL with direct work in the community. And then the last thing that you mentioned is the Critical Teaching and Learning Forum, and that's something I set up a couple years ago prior to the election in 2016, where I knew a lot of teachers kind of wanted to talk about pedagogy, talk about their teaching, talk about their classroom in a space away from their school, right, and also away from, say, their university. So we get together on Saturday mornings, usually at a community center in Newark, have a couple cups of coffee, and then people just share what's on their mind and things that they're thinking through and working on. And, we get into the details about what's possible in some schools. We have some teachers that work in suburban districts, and so they feel fairly constrained by the culture of their school. And then we have other teachers that work in kind of urban districts in schools that are a little bit more open. So it's a space for teachers to share their thoughts and kind of experiences with each other. Well, from a critical perspective. Wonderful.
You're the organizer of that, and it must be just a real relief and, again, an opportunity to vent and share and be more the teacher that you want to be when you're hanging out with folks who, on a Saturday morning, as you're describing it. want to do more than they're doing and want to say more and be more creative in their work.
Yeah, and because they come from different, some of them are junior high school teachers, some of them are high school teachers. I'm at this point, teach at the university level and at the adult level. So people are coming from different backgrounds, different towns, and so it's really good to get information. We learn from each other. Like every morning, every time we do it, we learn from each other.
Wonderful. Tell me, just from your perspective, this is a loaded question, but I know you're into
I'm sitting
it.
down. It's okay.
Yeah. Well, but what's missing in public education and in the education of college students, and even our teachers? And I know there's a lot we can say about this, but just what comes to mind up front for you when you look at what's taking place in education and just some things that we can do fundamentally to make things better?
Yeah, that's a pretty big question. But I think one thing that comes immediately to mind is that schools do not do a good job in helping students cultivate their own interests, and pursuing those things. I teach master's students, and so often, for all my classes, the last project is an essay where I ask them to pick a question that they're interested in pursuing, and then spend some time researching it, thinking about it, talking to people, and then come up with some ideas. And many of my students struggle with this. And I ask them, why is this so difficult? And I have to really work with them to find out what they're interested in. And what they tell me is they're simply not used to people asking them to write what they're interested in. Right? The teachers tell them what to respond to. They're like, read this book and answer these questions. Right? They're not told, oh, what are you interested in? Do the research you need to have a well-founded point of view on this, and then do it. And I think we see that across education, that we're not providing people with the opportunity and the resources to pursue things that they're really interested in. And then I think it disempowers them, so that when they're older, they really don't know what it means to be intellectually curious or to have a fire in your belly about a particular question. And it's difficult for them to get it started again.
We have just a couple of minutes left, Erik, and I know that you're interested in coalition building. Tell me about your interest in that way. Who needs to be coming together so that we're all succeeding? The students, the teachers, the institutions. What can we do better in terms of working together? Tell us about your interest in that particular area.
Sure. I mean, I think that within the field of adult education, we're always kind of behind the eight ball, right? And when it comes to funding, and part of that, I think, is that we don't have a lot of strong coalitions. I think we've done a good job connecting with people who care about immigrants' rights or immigrant issues because of the ESL aspect of adult ed. But there's lots of other things that matter as well. So, for example, just down the road from me, Newark is actually undergoing gentrification in some of the neighborhoods where the rents are going up. So housing, to me, is a critical issue. We've got, across the country, we've got eviction crises. We have an eviction crisis. So people can't afford houses. People can't afford to live in the neighborhoods that they work in. What's the impact going to be on education, right? So depending upon where the adult ed program is, how are they actually going to be able to get to an adult ed program if they have to move away from their neighborhood? So I think that's a natural partner for adult education, is people thinking about housing rights and fair housing. I think people thinking about access to health is a natural partner, because we know from the research that higher levels of literacy mean better health outcomes.
That's right.
Right? So we need to work with people thinking about health. We need to do a better job connecting with people who are working on ex-offenders. Right, people who are leaving the criminal justice system and going back into their neighborhoods, to make sure that they've got the type of skills that they're going to be able to flourish and become contributing members of their community. So there's lots of people who walk through the doors of adult ed programs that have other issues, that they have to deal with in their day-to-day life. So there's no reason why we all shouldn't come together to talk about that population and help that population, regardless of whether we're an adult ed person, whether we're a housing person, whether we're a health care person, or a correctional education person. I don't think we're going to make lots of progress on these things until we see it as a broader problem. We're not going to educate our way out of these issues.
Thank you, Erik.
raised $8,000 to build schools for South African children.
After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
In the military, things can change in an instant. Your personal life is just the same. Just like you protect our country, you want your family protected. That's why thousands of military members trust Navy Mutual Life Insurance. Navy Mutual is nonprofit, providing current and former Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard families with life insurance, no sales fees, and no military service restrictions. Protecting members on active duty and beyond. Call 1-800-628-6011, 800-628-6011, NavyMutual.org, insuring those who serve.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days?
What's that mean? Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McCullough brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcCullough.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McCulloughe. ChristopherMcCullough.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.